Okay, guys, so you can see these people's emails. Boom. All right, so I went to email these people. Of course, this was quite a bit. Let me see. Okay, it stops here. So there's a few. Like, okay, from here to here. Right there. So I'll read as fast as I can. I know it looks like a lot, but that's probably why they said, hell no, when they saw these emails. But mind you, I did put video so they didn't have to read. They could listen and watch, which I thought would be a lot easier, but they still ignored. So, anyways, but that was on the other emails. So I was like, "Good day to you, Mrs. Berry. I truly need your help with this matter. I have reached out to a few of the parties listed on this email, and only one of the parties that wasn't the original party I contacted, but I assume took over or was forwarded my email and at least attempted to look like they were helping, and maybe they were, but they've neglected to pay close attention in order to assist properly." And that is speaking of my housing coordinator, Leah Lochting, because I told her I needed to get out of there, but then she totally ignored that part. She was like, "Well, I already," she said, "I arranged it for you to be placed into a different unit at the same building." But I told her I needed to get out of the building, and what I told her was the reason why I needed to get out of the building itself, bump just the unit. That let me know she didn't give a damn. She was like, well, she might be, it's like they were, I saw that she was trying to keep me in that same no good apartment complex with people that's on drugs, that's able to freely come in there regardless of if there's they had to get the security back there again. But for some time, they didn't pay the security people, from what I heard from Officer Gummerland, or Gamerland, yeah, Gummerland. And he, wow, he just told me too much information. I'm not going to repeat what he said right now. But basically, these people are fraudulent. You can just, y'all ain't even probably got to be a real security company to just make sure you have something that look like a badge and a uniform and you're in. That's so I'm not gonna go into detail, but anyways, all right, so that lady, she tried to keep me in the building. So let me get back reading to the other paragraph. So I said, one party appears to have flat out ignored me, but may have an excuse and say that they did not, due to me having at least 6 months of experience with their patterns of behavior. Oh, okay. So basically, I was saying, based on my experience with them in the last 6 months at least, their patterns of behavior have shown me that they were going to lie, basically saying that they did help me when they didn't. So, anyways, seeing that one time they were supposed to come over for a scheduled home visit. Oh, okay, it's talking about my lawyer's assistant. No, and she received this email too, so it's almost like I was talking shit about them in their face, basically putting the truth about what their actions and behaviors were in their face, telling someone else about it in their face by showing, attaching them to the email. And that's because I was livid and I had seen clearly what was going on. Like, they just weren't giving a damn. So I was like, I had at least 6 months of experience with their patterns of behavior, and seeing that one time they were supposed to come over for a scheduled home visit for falsely accused CPS investigation via my ex spiteful retaliatory therapist under the guise of protocol, and failed to let me know that they couldn't make it, and neither did someone from their office let me know that I mean, basically, I'm going to say they failed to let me know that that party couldn't make it like they claimed they had someone from their office do. So basically, my lawyer's assistant at the time, at the MPD, Metropolitan Public Defender's Office, the assistant, the legal, what do you call those people, paralegals or something like that, she was supposed to come over. She did the same thing back in 2023, when it was orchestrated for me to go to the psychiatric hospital, and I got out after like a week or so, and they sent me through this other course. They said I had to do it as part of the completion to make sure. See, they just set up ways to basically energy harvest, get you to go through their programs and get funding for their stinking programs. That's pretty much all it is, I think. Because like, just because they say I have to do it, I had to do it. But anyways, couldn't make it if they claimed. So she kept saying that every time it was time for her to come over to my apartment to do some sort of visit, something always came up. And then back then, because of her, the process was being delayed, and it kind of pissed me off this time because she was repeating the same shit over again. So I said, then that party proceeded to excuse the lack slash poor communication as them having a that sound bad, as them having a family emergency on that day. And that's what these companies tend to do. They try to make it something that you gotta believe. So how is it all of a sudden all these people having family emergencies? Just like a lady I'm working with now at a company, all of a sudden she had a family emergency. She said her grandma died. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then because they keep doing it so much, if they actually do have someone who dies, it's hard to believe because they keep saying, like, they keep playing a game where they basically do a block and delay type of thing. And one of the delays to make, when they run out of excuses, all of a sudden it becomes a family issue, like a family emergency. Just like those to whom it may concern letters my parents used to send me to school with, to excuse for the absence because the absence happened and they would write a lie on the paper saying I was sick, but in reality I was healing from an injury that was unnecessary and not taken to the hospital for, because they would have gotten in trouble from CPS or whatever if the doctors cared enough to try to say some stuff. And plus my family, being what they call here in America African American black people, they would have probably tried to throw the book at them just because. So I understand why my parents did that one aspect of it, but it still was unnecessary because the reason behind the abuse wasn't necessary. So back to this. Okay, I said she excused it. They proceeded to excuse the lack thereof, or the poor communication, as them having a family emergency on that day all of a sudden that they said was unavoidable, and the reason why they couldn't let me know while I had waited for them to come over and miss work that day, which later was detrimental to my employment in a way. So after that last incident with them, I presumed I may not receive adequate assistance from either of those parties. So I'm reaching out to someone who I know may be more attentive. So I know, guys, that's a lot. I might not even read the rest because I don't really care about the situation that much anymore, because I already know they're about to get their karma. The tables are about to turn on these people. And I understand receiving an email that has like a clutter of paragraphs could seem daunting, that you don't want to read it. But if you act like you care and you're working on my case, I would assume that if they're doing an investigation, at least reading it like takes some days. I know they're working on plenty of cases, but not saying a thing at all for months or weeks, on top of keep delaying coming over to my house to do like a safety plan. Like they was playing some game with me, bro. So that's why I was like, I'm tired of this. And so that's why I started sending emails, but I mostly did it so it's always in their system to show basically these people were ignoring the truth of what was the reality of what was going on, and trying to create the narrative of what they wanted to happen so that they could just get by and get their money, because it wasn't their life. They don't have to live with the consequence of somebody making a false CPS investigation on you. So that's why they don't give a damn. So I'm gonna try to speed up a bit here, guys, because I know it could get boring, so I apologize for that. Okay, so in this paragraph, like I'm almost done. Yeah, so this little section of paragraphs here. So respectfully, I add that I'm not intending to come off as narcissistic or self-centered by stating that that party's sudden family emergency, and that's kind of funny a little bit, was an excuse in an insensitive way. What I'm trying to demonstrate is that things like this have happened a few times before with the same party, and I wanted to make it clear that it's not the first time that something was scheduled and then later had to be rescheduled because something kept coming up on times that we were supposed to meet. So I began to perceive that I wasn't taken seriously, yet I remained patient with said party and kept my frustrations to myself in case I was just perceiving things that were not. But after a consistent pattern, I conclude that I am not misjudging. One party is my lawyer who's CC'd as well. However, she usually refers me to the party who sometimes drops the ball on assisting me properly, unfortunately, which is her assistant, Jennifer Evans. What I mean by one of the parties attempting to help is by them stating that they sent me info on the process to switch to another apartment unit, but switching to another apartment unit in the same building isn't going to help at all, according to the problem that was clear. I meant to say that I made clear that I needed assistance moving completely out of the same building. So I'm feeling like I'm being played with, and this is not a game to me. And this is part of the reason why my mental health in the past was showing signs of instability due to career professionals intentionally ignoring me and playing it off as no big deal and making excuses for why proper assistance was neglected. I just wanted to show you the previous email that was originally sent to 3 of the parties that are attached to this email so you can understand and overstand what I've been going through and why I say it appears that I have been systematically harassed and or ignored, neglected, and forced to just tolerate it. But this time I'm speaking up and out. I have had enough. It's not serious to others unless something is happening to them or around them that forces them to pay attention. Below is the text from the original email that I sent to 2 parties who are attached to this email, and I will also later forward the email from one of the parties attached to this email that responded in an attempt to show they tried to help. Now I'm to the point where where if anyone even as much appears to be compromised as potentially working against me and not in favor of all parties involved, then I consider them compromised, operating from intent to deceive in some way. I am grateful for your observation and assistance. And then I put the email below that I originally put. So I'm going to end it here, guys. Thank you.